I've never said this in any of my tabletop reviews before, and I bet you when I lay it out here now, it will make a lot of sense to you. That whole philosophy of use discussion, POU discussion I do in my tabletop reviews, is really about context. The context of a certain gear item over here. How does it fit this situation, this application? That's a POU discussion. To me, it grounds the whole review. We can talk arbitrarily about certain features of a knife, of clothing, of a gun, in this situation of boots, but when you ground it to that context, then it all makes sense. Then you understand why certain features may be necessary in your system. Let's do that now. Here's the context for this boot review. You guys are going to dig this. The situation. You're hiking 5 miles one way in the winter time. Temperature is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. It has been a snow, rain, slush mix. There is, let's say, 5 inches standing snow on the ground. You'll be traipsing through creeks, perhaps, water, perhaps, lots of snow. Kind of like the moonscape outing we did years ago here in TMP, Crockett and I. That's the situation. Oh, hold on. There's one other thing I got to tell you. Since you're hiking with a man-portable system 5 miles one way, you're carrying everything. There's no llamas on this trek. There's no snowmobiles. There's no four-wheelers. It's you. It's your physical preparation, your backpack, you're carrying your load. And let's just say, for argument's sake, it's a winter camp out. Your backpack weighs 45 pounds. For me, that'd be a day pack. But let's say 45 pounds. Question. What footwear you wearing on that trip? Will I be snowshoeing nothing? That's a good question if you did ask that. I'll say no, you won't. Because the snow you're going to run into is either going to be compacted enough and or not deep enough, so probably not. What boots you wearing? Maybe you've never thought of this question, ever. But I'm laying it out there as the context for this review, because then you will understand how I arrived at these boots. You already know what they are. You saw the title. And why they are so awesome in this situation. My answer is not a pack necessarily, because it's too flexible. It cannot withstand a lot of weight. And I'm talking like whatever pack you want. You know, a felt liner pack, Sorels. They're great for traipsing around with light loads, but when you put that 45, 48 pound pack in my situation, no, it doesn't work. It can't hold the weight. You're going to either injure yourself or wear your feet out, the bottoms of your feet. My answer is you need a backpacking boot that is winter capable, and those are few and far between. Especially ones that fit me, and this is my answer. As seen in many adventures here in TMP. Well, not many, but a couple. I mean, I wore these on Llama Trek. They are the Cabelas Perfekt 10, and they are a hardcore mountain boot for winter conditions. Are there others out there? Perhaps, but again, I will say not a lot. Let's go back to the context. To do what we're doing on this situation, we're backpacking in the wintertime. And by the way, not a lot of people do that. Don't kid yourself. There are very, very, very few people who will backpack. There's tons that will snowmobile. There's a couple that will cross-country ski into a location. There's some that will snowshoe, but how far are they going? It's just really, really tough. There's a reason people don't do it. It's because it's strenuous and the gear requirements are a lot. Okay, so if I'm backpacking, I'm carrying weight, I need a boot that is warm enough. I need a boot that is waterproof. I need a boot that is supportive of that weight on my back, and I need something durable. This Cabelas Perfekt 10, made by Mendel in Germany, meets all those requirements. And it fits me pretty good. Every manufacturer will have what's called a last, the way I understand it. So it's a certain way they fit the boot. You will probably have to go to a store. I kind of am hesitant these days to order footwear online. I want to go try it out. I want to bring my hiking socks. If I'm wearing a liner, I'll put both of those on. I'll go hiking up and down their ramps. For a long time, a lot of REI stores had this. They'd have a ramp where you come down. You could check if you're going to have, you know, your toe box getting crammed, try it on. The Mindels fit me and they're very comfortable. I kind of have normal size feet. They're size 11. Mostly I wear D normal widths. But sometimes I'll ram into the side up here. And I think I said that in a boot review years ago. Try it on. You'll see what works. Let's go back to that situation. We're carrying the weight. This is why the Perfekt 10 is a capable hardcore mountain boot in the wintertime. This is the most important part for what we're doing. How is the sole, the midsole, created? It's not EVA foam. EVA foam is the stuff you have in your tennis shoes. It cannot support a lot of weight. In fact, in certain terrains, you'll be twisting your ankle. Okay, so as you descend down a mountain slope, you need stability, for sure. And you need a lot of support because you're not just carrying your body weight, you're carrying those 48 extra pounds, right? And so what we want is a polyurethane midsole, and that's what these have. They also have something called, I hope I wrote it down. Yeah, it's a pour-on heel insert. It's kind of a cup that stabilizes the heel. And they have a layer of cork in there. What does the cork do? It forms to your foot. So that's going to be close to where the removable footbed is. Really over time, especially when you're carrying weight, the Cabelas Perfekt 10, and they have some other great boots you might want to spend some time looking at. Maybe they're made by Mendel, maybe they're not. If you can find a Cabela store, go try them on. They're also excellent. It really depends on what fits your foot. There's that cork I was talking about on the insole. That's what will form this to your foot over time. You can kind of see where my toe imprints are. And I really like this portion here. It collects moisture at the bottom of the footbed with kind of a cambrel thinsulate liner on the top. So this in and of itself is insulation. So if you're hiking on ice and snow, it won't transfer that cold to your foot. Let's go back to this part though. This is my favorite, and that is the stiffness of this winter boot. That's kind of how I think of the Perfekt 10s, a winter adventure boot. See how stiff that is? How I can't fold it in half? That's that polyurethane midsole right here. That is what allows you to comfortably carry a lot of weight into the backcountry. So that's a sole, and there's the bottom of it right there. They call this one, it's a proprietary thing, a multi-grip. I found that it didn't collect mud too bad, unlike a lot of Vibram soles that will. It will still do it. You're going to have to shake it out. Great traction on every surface I tried it on. I dig it. The toe did not come this way. This is actually this stuff right here. I highly recommend it. Buy it at Sportsman's Warehouse. It's called KG's Boot Guard. They also sell it in Amazon, but it's more expensive. About 11 bucks at Sportsman's Warehouse if you can get to one of those. And it totally protects this nubuck leather on the Perfekt 10s. Durable enough, but not for what I do. Because oftentimes I'm in rocky terrain just shredding the leather, and I can look down after 2 outings, whether it's leather, fabric, a Cordura exterior, and I've got abrasion right here. Look how cool this stuff is. I have it on all my boots. Spend the 10 bucks, just put it on. There's the nubuck leather. All the DWR on this one has worn off because it has been through a lot of water cycles, snow cycles, water cycles. I have renewed it with various coatings, and I don't think they work that great. None of them. You go on and say, oh, try this, try that. I've tried them all. Nick wax, you know, spray on silicone. They don't work. What works mostly for waterproof construction is the construction of the boot. In other words, if the manufacturer does a good job of sewing and not creating inlet areas for water, that more than anything makes your boot waterproof. For instance, this has a fully gusseted tongue on the Perfekt 10s. So when I step through that muddy creek, as I have done with these boots many times, the water will come up to here, but it's a gusseted tongue, so it's not going to flow through. It also stops scree, sticks, rocks, ticks, stuff like that. Notice the stitching. Stitching is tight. There's no big holes created in the leather. This is a quality boot. Imagine that. Made in Germany, quality stuff. It is. It's going to cost you. We'll talk about that, but you kind of get what you pay for. Now, if that part doesn't work, there is a complete Gore-Tex membrane on the Cabelas Perfekt 10, which I think of as kind of an emergency backup for those construction features. And in my experience, from exterior moisture, these boots are very, very dry. Now, I emphasize exterior moisture because my feet sweat a lot, even in the winter. And so I'm always have to dry them out. Don't be confused, by the way. You may be hiking sometime in the winter and you go, man, I'm getting water in my boot. It may be coming from you. That's why you bring lots of socks. If you have to, stop mid-trek in, change your socks. Socks are small, they're compact, and they're lightweight. Carry a lot. Change them out. Keep those feet dry. Just ask the troops in the World Wars. They'll tell you that. Your feet are everything. They kind of get you around. Other features. I love the lacing system on the Perfekt 10s. Love it. For instance, notice this. It has like the instep lock right here. This is critical for a serious mountain boot, a serious backpacking boot. And I have discussed this before. Let's take the descent again. We're carrying, here we go, contextually again. We're going downhill with that 48-pound pack. And we have no other option but to go straight down. We can't like tack it and, you know, crisscross down slope. Let's say we're going straight down. We have hiking poles, so we can dig in. We got great traction. The problem you have is if you don't have this instep lock is you're going to be banging your toes into the toe box. And let me tell you this from experience, it can ruin a trip. You can get your toes so sore from that, from having improperly constructed, designed boots, you'll want to go home. You're like, I'm done. My feet are killing me. I've been with guys that have done that. My own kids are like, yeah, I'm in pain. What's happening? Well, my toes are just smashing the toe box. And you might have a whole bunch of that. I've been on hikes, even in TMP, like Glacier Call, going down, and you really have no other option but to go straight down. That's why this is critical. It locks that instep into the heel. Not the instep, but the heel down into the cup so your foot doesn't slide forward. Speed lacing system, it's nothing unique. A lot of boots have this. But what I found with these is it just works, and it's obviously durable. Look how used these boots are. They just lock in. Then you have a retention tab on the gusseted tongue. Some ventilation slots here. Heavily padded right here. Not heavily, but just right. Because you don't want it to be poofy. You want it to be, I call it constructed foam. And that means it's durable, going in and out of the boot. It's not shredding. That's kind of the Mendel. Notice on the exterior, this is full grain leather here. This is nubuck. I love nubuck, by the way. It's naturally water resistant, and then you throw DWR on it, even better. Oh, that's what they call it. Digifix, that instep lock. But this is nice too. These, by the way, are, I think, 10-inch. That's where the 10 comes from. 10-inch high boots. That height is just about perfect. I don't want a 6-inch boot. I don't want an 8-inch boot. I need about a 10-inch boot. In this context, crossing streams, wintertime, carrying a load. You go with a shorter boot, 6 inches, 8 inches, you're going to get flooded. Because if you're like me, you're going to fall into that stream. It always happens. I'm talking the boot slips on a log, a slippery rock, goes into the water, 6-inch boot, just going to get overrun. 10 inches, about right. It's not too tall, just right. Now when the snow is deep, I'm running gaiters almost always, and that will further prevent the ingress or entry of snow, even water, into the boot. And gaiters have saved me when I've gone plunging into an icy stream before. It's gone all the way up here. You know, you find out real quick you made a mistake, so out comes the boot, right? Assuming you have the traction on the other end of the bank. And in that instant, it just prevented the flooding of water into your boot. 10 inches, perfect. Now, would I use these in a summertime hike? No. For that, where the temperature's hot, you guessed it, 90 degrees, whatever, I'm going to go with a shorter boot there. I'll run shorter gaiters just for scree, maybe a stream crossing, but that's kind of going into the firepower versus mobility discussion, right? When we go winter camping, we need firepower. We need more capabilities. That's what this Perfekt 10 boot by Cabelas, by Mendel, represents. It is the firepower side of the equation. For instance, these are size 11s, right? Let's see, and this tongue shows it in there somewhere. Size 11s. They're not super light. They are 4 pounds. I just weighed them, 12 ounces. In fact, when I was in the store looking at them, and I got to tell you, I went around and around looking for the appropriate boots to do these adventures in. And I was coming up empty. I was like, man, I just can't find any. I find a lot of Goofy snow boots, a lot of packs, but not a snow backpacking boot. And when I lifted these up, I was looking at the construction. I saw the stiffness of the sole. I saw the nubuck leather. All the features I loved, and I lifted them up. I was like, oh, they're kind of heavy. Welcome to firepower. And now that I've hiked miles and miles with them, I don't even mind them at all. They actually make my feet feel good because they can take rock pounding. So you come out of the snow, out of the mud, and you're in the rocks. They're ready to go. You know what these boots were designed for, right? Serious hunters. That's what they're put together for. Those expensive boots that Cabela sells, they're designed for guys who go up into Alaska and go mountain goat hunting on a guided trip, and it's the hunt of a lifetime, and they don't want to have to worry about their footwear. That's what these are designed for. We just benefit. We go along for the ride. And it's good for serious mountain adventuring with a backpack. Yeah. Look around. Just look at the midsole on a lot of these boots. They're not going to be polyurethane. You're not going to have the cork. Just bend the boot in half. You go in the store, bend it, and you'll go, yeah, I can't do that. Any boot that does that, keep looking. Keep looking. I'm going to end with value. I would say value is good, if not excellent. They're $300 boots. Now, I'll tell you this. When you get into serious mountaineering footwear, just talk to the ice climbers, guys who really adventure a lot in the mountains. $300 is nothing. Nothing. I wouldn't even hesitate for 1 second spending $300 in these boots, knowing what I know about them now. Let's go back to that context. Carrying weight, snow, slush, rain, stream crossings, rocky climbs. I'll take this boot, thank you very much. Because I've tried a lot of others that just sucked. You know, the packs. I have some Sorel packs I love, but not when I'm carrying a backpack. A substantial backpack. Highly recommended. Go look them up. And like I said, there's some other great boots there online as well on the Cabela's website. And try them on if you possibly can. If you can't, you can still order these. And Cabela's has such an awesome return policy. And they will just try them on. Don't wear them outside. Just wear them around in the house. And I'm talking for a good probably 6 hours going up and down stairs if you can. Really angling the boots, seeing if it locks your foot in. See if you have any hot spots. Try it out. If they don't, send it back to Cabela's. No questions asked. Highly recommended. That's my review in context. See ya.